Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Our Life Beginning and Always. Today we're going to finish all of the moments for the childhood step, or the step one, I guess. And then we'll finally be able to move up to a more grown-up Cove that we won't have to feel guilty about liking. So let's go ahead and get right into it. We can start with shopping. And, yeah. Let's do this thing. Alright. Come back before it gets dark, alright, sports? The familiar voice drifted across the street and drew your attention away from the snail you'd been watching inch slowly across the pavement. Cove waited in front of his dad, pushing his green hair back off of his face from where the breeze was blowing it over his glasses. He looked to be paying only a mild amount of attention as he was being handed a few slips of green paper. Wait, Cove's dad is paying Cove for what? It reminded you of when you first met Mr. Holden, although he's probably not paying Cove to be friends with himself. Cove's dad seemed to feel your gaze somehow. Or maybe you made a noise, because a second later his eyes were on you. He waved you over with a smile. He looked happy to see you, but you still felt a little weird for getting caught. You've got to learn to be more sneaky. You two brushed your hands together to free them of sand, then jogged over to join you two.
How's it going?
Good to see you again. What excitement are you up to today, Joseph? Nothing. You toed the pavement in front of you. It would be nice to tell them about the snail you found, but you didn't know if they liked snails. After you finished answering the question, Mr. Holden's attention returned to Cove. Okay, thank you, Wi-Fi data limits. Who was preoccupied with folding the bills he had into a tiny rectangle. Sounds fun. It does? You weren't sure about that. You know, Cove was about to hit the stores by the beach. Why don't you go with him? You shrugged. Cove was in the process of making a similar motion. You didn't have anything else to do, and you hadn't been to the stores in a few days. Maybe there was something new to look at. Is that okay?
I guess.
I was going by myself, but I guess it is. You don't have to. Great, I'm sure you guys will have loads of fun. Mr. Holden reached into his pocket and pulled out a leather wallet filled with money. You found it odd since your mom's only ever seemed to have cards in theirs. Here. He leaned in to pass a crisp 10 to Cove, giving him a wink and a whisper. Get something for your friend, too. Sure.
Good kid.
That's my boy. Cove's dad ruffled his son's hair as he was straightening back up. The bill in his hand still held outwards towards the green-haired boy. Take care. Cove accepted the bill after a second and slipped it into his pocket. Then with one last nod to his dad, he turned and started walking. You followed after him, intrigued at the possibilities this outing might bring. Cove strayed towards the gentle tide, creeping up the sand, and you fell into place beside him. It was a nice day. The sun was shining and there weren't many clouds in the sky, though the wind coming off the ocean kept it from being hot. You took in a deep breath, enjoying the scent of the salt and ocean air. When you looked at Cove, he was dragging his feet through the sand a little, and you slowed down to wait for him. His eyes searched the ground intently. Are you looking for snails? Yeah. Cove looked at you, wrinkling his nose. Who would want something like that? Oh, no one. Absolutely no one. Who even likes snails? Not me. You felt the urge to defend the activity you'd been indulging in only a short while ago. But Cove was so cute you couldn't muster up the courage to say that you like snails and make him disgusted. A lot of people... No way, they're weird, and you can't take them anywhere because they're bugs. They're not bugs. What? You have to leave them alone. Cove chuckled to himself, and that ended the discussion. Okay, I guess you just chuckle to yourself, and that ends our conversations. Real mature. He can think what he wants, and you'll think your own things. The comforting sounds of the waves filled the silence with pleasant white noise, and you played a little game with yourself as you walked along, getting as close to the water as possible without getting wet. It resulted in you having to run up the sand quickly when a wave rushed in more than a few times. And although Cove threw a few glances your way, he didn't say a word. What did you want to go to the shops for? Yeah. I need a new sand pail. Yeah, what happened to your old one? Cove narrowed his eyes, seeming to think deeply for a second.
Whoa.
It disappeared. What? Really? Cove ducked his head down, lacing his fingers behind his back. It didn't seem like he was going to continue, so you nudged his arm. How did that happen? Well... Cove opened his mouth and shut it again, considering. I took it to the beach one day. Uh-huh. When I got home, it wasn't anywhere. You left it there? Nope, it wasn't at the beach when I went back. Okay, well that just means someone took it or something. Then you lost it. It disappeared, idiot.
So...
What about you? What do you do out here? I like swimming? Cove's lips curled in a small smile. Me too. It occurred to you that you hadn't been swimming in a while. There was just so much to do before school started up again and so little time. Once you reached the shopping area, the noise level grew exponentially. No longer just waves and footsteps, with the chatter of people enjoying the lovely summer day, the call of birds, trying to find bits of food left behind, and lots of salespeople trying to get attention. You sniffed the air as you walked beside Cove. You could still smell the ocean, but there were other scents now too. Pizza, pretzels, hot donuts. Don't spell donuts like that. It's nice. It's alright. There was a lot going on, but it beat staying at home and doing nothing at all. You were sure that you and Cove could find something to fill the day if you looked around a bit more. Cove was glancing from one side of the street to the other with a look in his awkward marine eyes that you couldn't quite work out. What's that? Cove pointed to a large crowd of people gathered near a few tables with large, colorful umbrellas blooming from their middles. You couldn't see past the adults who were blocking the way, but you knew there must be something worth seeing. Why does Cove's dad scare you? Without another word, the two of you hurried over to see what all the commotion was about. Amazing Alexander. Feast your eyes on the amazing Alexander! In the center of the crowd was a man with a tall hat and a funny green coat that had 3 long tails. There was a little table next to him with a cloth hanging over it that read "The Amazing Alexander" in glittery golden script. Why tell people his name if it's already on a sign? Cove hummed with understanding, then turned to walk away just as the Amazing Alexander began shuffling a deck of cards. You bit your lip reluctantly, starting to follow after Cove again. I want to watch, Cove! You continued looking over your shoulder, however wanting to see as much as you could before you got too far away. Hey! Not watching where you were going proved a bad idea as you bumped right into Cove. Oh, sorry. Did you want to stay or something? If that's okay. He briefly lifted his arm off his side before returning them to place. You could have said so. With that, it began. The magic man pulled one card out of the deck, showing it to the curious onlookers. It was a 4 of diamonds. Watch closely. You did, squeezing through a few of the adult onlookers to get a better view. Suddenly, the man snapped his fingers and the card just disappeared. Whoa. Well, fine, don't be excited. The Amazing Alexander, who had earned his title, turned his head and looked directly at you. He reached out with a kind smile. What is this behind your ear? You backed away. It wasn't enough to deter him, and the crowd of people gathered behind you made it impossible to move any further. I get it, so you get this whole crowd of people in on it, huh? You just come out here to assault children? This is a crime. He smelled like popcorn and candy when he stepped closer, and you swallowed anxiously. You felt a tug, and then he pulled the 4 of diamonds out from behind your ear. What? You knew that it couldn't really have come from your ear, but you still didn't get how he'd done it. There was light applause from the crowd, and the man gave a deep bow. This is for you. The magician plucked a pair of balloons from a clump of them tied down to his table. Both were in the shape of a dolphin instead of being a normal circle. And one for your friend, too. Thank you for being my assistant. Stranger danger indeed. Wow. Now you are really grateful he chose you. After that, he went somewhere else in the crowd. Pick a card, any card. My uncle does that every time he visits. Not the balloons, the stuff with cards. Cove spoke plainly while reaching over to take the dolphin that had been designated for him. Cove is ruining the fun. You wondered if Cove's whole family was magic. If so, he was lucky. The crowd started to clear some, and you noticed to the side there was a whole rack of brightly colored kaleidoscopes on display. You picked up a magic 8-ball. Oh. You shifted your balloon string to the other hand so you could hold it up in front of you. Then you thought of a question in your mind, shaking the ball and hearing some kind of liquid slosh around inside it. Once you had given it a good shake, you held it upright, waiting for the answer to appear. Concentrate and ask again. You wrinkled your nose and set the magic 8-ball back on the rack. It wasn't the answer you were hoping for. You followed Cove around to the other side of the stall. He went under the awning, careful of his own floating dolphin, and you joined him. Did you have any places like this in your old town? Are you having fun? Cove didn't answer straight away, and after a few more moments, you thought he wasn't going to say anything at all. A little. When Cove moved towards some stalls nearby, you followed beside him. Aww. While Cove looked at the sand pails, you were drawn to a table with colorful keychains laid out on it. They were sewn in the shape of sea creatures, and there was a plaque that read "Handmade" standing proudly in front. There were lots of different types. You saw a dolphin, a shark, a crab, a turtle. You picked up the dolphin. Your hand stopped in front of the dolphin, so similar to your balloon animal. It was made up of a bright material that caught the sunlight when you picked it up. You remembered once seeing a pod of dolphins swimming out in the distance at the beach, jumping out of the water and splashing as they dived back in again. That was a great day. You were instantly enamored. Checking the price though, your heart fell. $6! You didn't know much about money, but you thought that it was a lot to spend on one thing. You rarely had more than a $5 bill to your name. Though that changed the day you met Cove and his dad. You still have the $20 bill Mr. Holden gave you hidden away in your room. That's our secret, secret getaway money. Just in case we ever have to leave town suddenly. We need that $20. It was a grand sum of money, but you couldn't spend something that was at home instead of in your pocket. Maybe you'd have to ask your moms to bring you here again one day, now that you knew what you wanted. Is that what you want? Huh? Oh. It's $6. I didn't bring any money.
Alright.
It's fine. Are you sure? Hooray, you don't have to. Really? Really? Cove took the keychain from your hands, and that was that. He was holding a small yellow bucket for himself, too. My dad told me to. Oh, great, thanks. That makes me feel really special. Do you take a dude on a date, and then halfway through the date, when the man you're with says, I'm really having a lot of fun tonight, do you say, my dad made me? Like, okay, whatever. I really feel great. Anyway, you were nervous but happy with your purchase nonetheless. It was nice of Cove's dad to let Cove buy something for you too. After Cove paid, the two of you stepped out of the store side by side, your balloon dolphins knocking together and spiraling around in the air. You watched Cove hold up his new pail to his face, examining it thoroughly. Hey, Cove. Yeah? Did your dad always give you money like that? From what you've seen, that happens a lot with Mr. Holden. You've never met anyone else who shares dollar bills with people all the time. Cove frowned, looking confused.
Yeah.
When I'm going somewhere, yeah, I guess. and I get an allowance one time a week, when he remembers that. You thought about bringing up how you and Mr. Holden had first met, but only for a moment. You felt like your feelings might have been hurt if your parents were offering to pay people to be your friend, and that was meant to be a secret. Cove looked further down the street, where different food carts were lined up. Cove's being a little B-word, yeah. He rested his non-cast arm over his stomach, and just as he did, yours let out a light growl. You hadn't eaten since breakfast, and after all of this wandering around, you were definitely ready for some lunch. Let's get some food. Yeah. The two of you wandered around a short while, looking at all the delicates that were available. Delicates? Delicacies. What? Everything looked delicious. Do we have any money left? We spent $6 on the dolphin, and I don't know how much Cove's pail costs, but I'm guessing at least a few dollars. What do we have? $1 left? Are we gonna share a 99-cent cheeseburger? Because, honey, I don't know if you've been to a fast food joint recently, but those cheeseburgers aren't even 99 cents anymore. They're like $1.49. Everything looked delicious, and as the different smells, both sweet and salty, wafted over to you, your stomach growled even louder. After passing up hot dogs, snow cones, ice cream, and pizza, you both agreed on pretzels. Cove got something sweet and cinnamony, and you? Hate chocolate. It's got one with cheese, I guess. You licked your lips hungrily as the vendor handed you a pretzel over, ready to take a big bite. It was covered in gooey melted cheese, just the way you like it. It seemed odd to get a dessert pretzel before eating normal food. Yeah, we started with 10. You found an empty plate. I don't know how we paid for this. You found an empty table close enough to the beach that the grit of the sand made terrible noises when you dragged the chairs out to sit. These balloons are gonna make it hard to eat. Okay, well, don't look so depressed about it. Cove, why don't you just tie it to your hand? Cove placed his bucket on the table or tie it to anything else, actually, would be better. Cove placed his bucket on the table as he stared at his still, balled-up hand that was wrapped around the string. You opened your mouth to agree before an idea hit you. I know. After carefully placing your pretzel somewhere it wouldn't get sandy, you tugged the balloon dolphin out of Cove's hand and tied it in a delicate bow around his wrist.
Oh!
Cove bounced his arm up and down in place, testing the stability of your knot. After watching his balloon just jostle around but remain attached, he smiled, satisfied. Could you help me too? I can't tie it to my own wrist. He repeated the ritual. Cove struggled somewhat with the cast, restricting his fingers on one hand, and his string already tangled around the other.
Okay.
Got it. The two of you spent a moment admiring your handiwork, both hands now free to allow easy munching on your pretzels. You bit into the doughy treat, savoring the taste on your tongue with a smile as you looked out over the ocean. After a time, you finished your pretzel. You were done before Cove. It was boring not having anything to do. You pulled on the string of your balloon to bring it down to your level. Then you held the dolphin in your hands, manipulating it to look like it was jumping through the air. If you turned to face towards the beach, it almost looked like it was swimming in the waves, like a real dolphin. A laugh came from your side. When you glanced back at Cove, he had left the remaining part of his pretzel on the wrapper, and he was gripping his dolphin too. Mine's name is Merryweather, Prince of Dolphins, Splash, Cherry, Sam. They're a regular god-dang dolphin. You sighed thinking about how great it would be to have a pet dolphin of your own. What's yours? Cove considered the question, placing the balloon against the table and resting his free arm across it in contemplation. It's... With a loud pop, the dolphin exploded into ribbons. Get wrecked, scrub. Oh no. For a second, all Cove did was gape in shock like you. Then his cheeks puffed up, gaping and his cheeks are puffing up. Squinting his eyes, and you saw tears start to glisten. You made a joke, you offered to find Alexander, and you gave your Cove your balloon. Oh, take my goddamn balloon, you baby. You could have my balloon instead if you want. Cove looked over at you, frowning. I don't want yours. Okay, well, just continue being a little bee then. Oh. You felt bad for Cove, but you were secretly glad. You really liked the little dolphin and you weren't eager to give it up. Cove spent the rest of the outing sniffling and didn't say much else. The passing of Cove's balloon was the last major event of your adventure. In the end, the two of you headed back late that afternoon. You separated on the beach, and while Cove went straight home with his brand new sand pail in hand, you decided to sit for a while. You watched the waves and the sunset fiddling with your new keychain. Another summer day was drawing to a close. It had been nice for the most part. Hopefully there wouldn't be any tears next time. So yeah, if we don't have to deal with a little bee. Okay, let's get straight into the library moments. And every year, the Sunset Bird Memorial Library held a summer reading program. Your moms and Lizzie were big fans of it. Mom and Mommy because it encouraged reading, and Lizzie because she could win prizes. When it came to what you thought of having to read a bunch of books and then going to the library with a competitive Lizzie, you loved it, you didn't care, hated it. But there was no way to get out of it when everyone else in your family adored it. And it wasn't like you could say anything to their faces anyway. You and Lizzie went with Shiloh before, and this year you'd brought Cove too. His dad had been so over the moon about Cove being included that he'd driven all four of you. You had never been in Cove's dad's car before. It seemed a lot shinier than your mom's. After herding the group inside, Mr. Holden gave you a wide wave with the arm that had a stingray on it. Have fun, kids. Stay in sight of the librarians, you hear? I wish I could watch you in action, but your poor old dads has to finish up some work. Why do we need to stay in sight of the librarians? Are we gonna get into some dangerous activities in the library? What?
I got it.
Though I'm sure that you won't get in the way. Heck, I'd probably hold you kids back. There is pointedly no reply from his son over what was likely meant as only a joke. Cove's dad seemed to deflate a bit. I'll be swinging around again when this shindig ends. Yeah, you can go home now.
Aw.
You don't have to throw me out the door, Your sister, already in full competition mode, cut him off. For once, Cove looked grateful she was there.
Come on!
We have to go find a table, Mr. Holden. You can talk to Cove after when we win. Okay. See you in about an hour. Have fun. Did I say that already? My advanced age is really catching up to me now.
Bye.
Bye, Dad. Bye, son. The four of you watched him shuffle out of the library, glancing over his shoulder at Cove more than once.
Bye!
Bye, Mr. Holden. Thank you for bringing us. Thanks, Lizzie. I don't know what you're thanking me for. Are you copying Shiloh? Distracted, Cove is already glancing around the gigantic library. I want to go explore. What? I said I want to go look around and see what's in here. But the quiz starts soon. That's why we came. Wide at the first signs of conflict, Shiloh's eyes darted between Lizzie and Cove. Then you can do it without me, right? You don't need a bunch of people. Didn't your dad say to stay with the librarians? You shouldn't go somewhere by yourself. It's a library. What in the name of the Lord do you think is gonna happen in here? Cove leveled an unimpressed stare at the both of them. Then his eyes met yours. Is this library actually a labyrinth? Is he gonna get lost in here and never be seen again? What's gonna happen? Anyway, Cove leveled an unimpressed stare at the both of them. I already read that. Cove's idea is more fun. You guys are lame.
Seriously?
You guys are lame. Cove looked surprised but happy at the same time. You never told her that you didn't like it, and Lizzie tended to assume people would just agree with her. And your sister, unlike Cove, was furious. Fine. Let's go, Shiloh. Okay, yeah, run after her, you little simp. We didn't need you here anyway. I didn't want you interrupting my time with Cove. Her arms folded. Your sister stormed off. Shiloh had to race to keep up with her. She cares a lot about that. Is a bookshelf gonna fall on him? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's how he broke his arm in the first place. He probably broke his arm in a library because an entire bookcase just fell right on top of him, and that's why his dad was so afraid. Shiloh looks like a chihuahua trying to keep up with the horse. Yeah, he's a simp. You couldn't help but laugh. Since you've been here a lot before, we could play hide and seek. Hide and seek? Not exploring? Yup, if I'm searching for you and you're searching for me, we'll really have to look at everything. You weren't entirely sure of how effective that would be, but couldn't say he was totally wrong. I'll hide first. Decision made, Cove took off towards the back of the library. You'd already agreed to play with him instead, so you covered your face and waited for 10 seconds. When you looked up again, he was nowhere to be seen. You glanced over towards the way he went. Cove hadn't had much time to hide, but he was already invisible. The place you decided to check was next to a Peter Pan poster? Besides the fairy tales? Alright, behind the solar system model. The librarian's solar system display was pretty neat. It had all the planets from the sun on out, and it had its own little section hidden in the science books. But you saw a tiny pair of familiar shoes poking out from underneath the earth, so you leaned around it. Hi.
Hey.
Oh, hey. He turned back to Earth and its tiny moon. From this spot, I think it's supposed to be a solar eclipse. It kind of blocks out the sun. You looked at it, tilting your head. He was right. This thing was something you'd always walked by, but you never noticed that before. Hide and seek did seem to be working out for finding interesting things.
Okay.
Your turn now. I'm going to cover my eyes and count to 10. I promise I won't peek. You can peek if you want to, called Cove. I don't mind. While Cove had his eyes securely behind the palms of his hands, you went to go hide. Alright, we need to take off our clothes before Cove finds us, so we have a romantic, discovery. Anyway, by the Outlaw poster? You hid in the tiny alcove across from a gigantic poster of a woman named Kissin' Kate. Waiting for Cove to find you, hidden from view, you looked across at her wide smile. Kissin' Kate Barlow. She and her bright red, gleaming smile seemed exactly like the kind of outlaw that Lizzie would think was cool. You mulled over the idea of showing your sister this new poster. She hadn't seen it before. But Lizzie wouldn't want to be dragged away from the thing she'd come out here to do. And besides, she was probably mad at you for going with Cove. Suddenly, his head appeared directly in front of you. Found you. You nearly jumped out of your skin. More like jumped out of my clothes. Cove. He glanced over at his shoulder to see what you'd been staring at. Cool. I like her lipstick. Yeah? Yeah, like a poisonous fish. He stared at her for a couple seconds longer, then glanced back at you.
Alright.
It's my turn again. Start counting so I can go pick a spot. Okay. Cove darted off before you even had a chance to fully close your eyes. 1 Mississippi. When the time was up, he was long gone again. There were still a lot of good places to hide, so you figured he was... behind the Willy Wonka statue, and all the old Christmas stuff. The librarian had left all of their Christmas things out, tucked away in a corner for months. It was the perfect place to hide. And sure enough, as soon as you crouched down and peered behind the fuzzy green man with the word Grinch above his head, there was Cove. That was so fast. Me and Mr. Grinch were just getting settled. Oh, okay, so you're just getting cozy with Grinch here. What about me, Cove? I have needs. You looked at the gigantic frowning doll. It seemed to be scowling at you the way it did at everybody all the time. all the litter kids are scared of him. So, Shiloh. I'm not surprised, I don't think. He's a little funny looking. Let's keep playing. I can still win. He put his hands over his eyes, but before he could run off again, a librarian approached the two of you. Oh, okay. Johnny Law is here to stop us. Ah, kids, I've been looking for you. Cove peeked between his fingers at the stranger. Us? You must be Cove. Your dad told me he was waiting by the entrance. Cove blinked, mouth opening like he was going to say something, then glanced down at his pink cast. It was a pretty clear giveaway. Sure. Is my sister Lizzie with him? She's taller than us and has orange hair. You're Joseph, right? You nodded. Phew, I found you both at once. That's right, she's with him, and the little guy with freckles. Come on, let's go get you reunited so we can get you close, so we can close up for the night. It's already nighttime? Ready to go home, you and Cove followed him up front, where he was the ragtag group of family members. Wait, what? Where the ragtag group of family members and Shiloh were all waiting.
Hey!
There you are! She was pouting. You could tell from all the way across the room, and it was only that much more obvious as you got closer. Did you win? We came in second. Hey, gang. I thought you had been with them the whole time, Cove. I'm glad you didn't just go off by yourself, at least. Cove glanced over at you, then back up at his dad.
Yeah.
Me too. A broad smile appeared over Mr. Holden's face.
That's...
Even so, next time you should... Cove? Cove. Cove's dad glanced around, slightly frantic, but Cove, just like always, had snuck off without thinking to say anything. He's leaving! Cove's trying to be the first one in the car! How many hours are they playing? All night, honey. With a sudden burst of speed, Lizzie darted for the exit, still in Victor to be mode, even for something like a race to ride in the front seat. There was nothing else for the three of you to do except head after them, pretending the librarians hadn't noticed all the commotion. Though Lizzie had been victorious in claiming a window seat in the car, you could tell by her crossed arms and occasional pout that she had still not forgiven your betrayal. Cove hadn't been happy that she'd shot past him at the last second and that he'd been able to sit in the middle between you and Shiloh. Who wants the middle seat? Who wants to ride B in the car? Like, what? Maybe Cove does. Maybe he likes to be in the middle. He likes to be sandwiched. I'll keep that in mind for the future. Did you say you came in second place? That's some good going.
No.
No, it's not. She levied another glare at you over her shoulder.
Sure.
Aha, sure. Striving to improve is good too. That makes Joseph the winner in your family. You wiggled in your seat, hiding a smile behind your hands.
What?
Joseph kept finding me in our game. I lost. I could have done better if we had more time. Hide and seek with just you two? That doesn't even count as winning.
Why?
It's not special. There's no judges or prizes. You eyed the seat that she'd fought so hard to win. That wasn't much of a prize either, so you just bend the rules and change them whenever you want, huh, Lizzie? Dad? Yes? You could see Cove's dad's eyes in the rearview mirror, suddenly attentive at his son's call. We need a prize. Oh, as a matter of fact. Mr. Holden focused intently on the road ahead as though a suitable reward to please Cove might appear before him.
Right.
The big thing on the flyer for this was the chance to get a free pizza coupon, wasn't it? How about I call up a takeout place and we can have pizza at home for dinner? Lizzie huffed, pulling her arms closer to her chest. Is Mom even gonna let you take a pizza from Mr. Holden? We'll see. I'll ask her. I'll talk to all of your moms about this. Pleased, you smiled as you stared out the window at the scenery whizzing by.
Thank you!
Thank you, Mr. Holden. Yeah, thanks, Dad. You're welcome. I do what I can. But you really should have stuck with the group. The quiz would have been fun. That was the plan when I dropped you off. We stayed together and didn't leave the library. I'm glad for that. I am. Well, there's a lot of trouble you can get into even if you have a buddy along for the ride. Just be careful next time. Dad, it's a library. Why do you treat me like this? It's a goddamn library. What did you think we were gonna do in there? I worry about you, and I bet Joseph's parents wouldn't want them running off unexpectedly either. Okay, son?
Okay.
That's my boy. Now enough guff from your old dad. Let's decide what kind of toppings we're gonna get. Pepperoni! Sound good. Anything else? Mushroom! And the conversation continued from there, with debates on what was the best to put on pizza for the rest of the drive. You gotta put all the vegetables on it. Mr. Holden wanted anchovies, and the other 3 kids in the car had to band together to explain how gross they were. The way Cove's dad laughed up in the front seat made you wonder if he was doing it on purpose. Still, the promise of pizza was appealing, even if it did have to come with a mandatory side order of Cove. Wow, why are you dragging Cove right there? That was unexpected. The unexpected, very quick drag of Cove right there. You were so glad there ended up being a way to salvage the day. Maybe you could come up with a way to skip the quiz again next year.